Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling match review. So, we are continuing our look at a classic, or at least older WrestleMania matches, and this one is a classic in a couple interesting ways. It is the first conversation we are seeing between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar that ends. It's for the WWE Championship, of course, but it's one that ends in a very surprising twist. I'm of course talking about WrestleMania 31, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Or so, excuse me. As always, I'm professional, not professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I had a pretty good time for the most part with this match. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And if you've seen this reviews right before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, gonna be somewhat liked and disliked about the match, but you may be wondering, how did we get here? Well, Roman Reigns, to the surprise of no one and to the chagrin of many, won the 2015 Royal Rumble and therefore challenged Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. This was during the time where there was just the single WWE Championship before the days of a single WWE Championship. But yeah, so Roman had challenged Brock here, and the build for this match, and really the build for a lot of the matches at WrestleMania 31, sadly wasn't great. Including in some good old fashioned tug of war over the championship. Yeah, sign that guy up for the main event. Sadly, this was as long before the days of the cool tribal chief head of the table business, his industry revolutionizing Roman Reigns. This was the big dog Roman Reigns, the big dog that they were trying to get everybody to like and to play with, but nobody wanted to adopt that dog. Wearing his vest and everything, and essentially morphing into Cena 2.0. But yeah, so Reigns was going to be in the match with Brock Lesnar, and at first, things seemed hopeless. Brock Lesnar was on his way out of the company. Roman looked like he was going to be placed on that pedestal and handed the WWE Championship, or not so handed, handed in a way, but also fighting for and winning WWE Championship. But then, at the last moment, and Brock Lesnar decided to ultimately retire from MMA, re-sign with WWE, and so now this match had a little extra fire leading into this match. So how they pull it off, let's find out. And of course, like I mentioned, I'm going to talk about what I liked and disliked about the match. So starting with what I liked, at least in terms of kayfabe, trying to present Roman as a credible threat to Brock, while also showing the dominance of Brock. Roman taking it to Brock. Power on power, of course Roman and Brock to an extent, and have a decent amount of agility, but a lot of it is a lot of that power on power. Power on power, like two powerhouses, I should say, going at it, can be a little bit tricky at times. Times like it's like when it's pulled off great, it's pulled off great, but otherwise it can be pretty slow and lumbering. But no, they did. I think they did pretty well with that, having Roman get hit absolutely annihilated for the majority of this match, but coming back for more, battling against Brock, and really trying to take it to the beast. And for the most part, he does, including nailing a bunch of man punches and some spears on Brock. Ultimately, he hit 3 in the match, 2 before what happened, which we'll get to, and one last one, and then Brock delivering 3 F5s on Roman, and actually he delivered 4. Fourth, if I'm not mistaken, the fourth one. But on the fourth one, both Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are down, and then Seth Rollins' music hit. That's right, Seth Rollins had won Money in the Bank in 2014, and he sprinted down to the ring. He had already wrestled earlier in the night against Randy Orton, but sprinted down to the ring, briefcase in hand, cashed in, made the match a triple threat, had stomped Lesnar, then stomped Roman. So Roman hit the spear on Brock, as Brock had Seth up in the F5, and then Seth at Seth curb stomped Roman, pinned Roman, won the WWE Championship, and essentially made off like a bandit. The heist of the century, baby. So Seth Rollins is the first and so far the only superstar to cash in at WrestleMania, which it's the entire history of WrestleMania, and then the entire history of Money in the Bank. In fact, the Money in the Bank concept, 10 years old at that time, because it was introduced in 2005 by Chris Jericho. Oh, of course, won at WrestleMania 21 by Edge. It used to be at WrestleMania before it got its own pay per view, but I'm surprised it took them that long. Not only am I surprised it took them that long to have someone cash in at WrestleMania, but then I'm also surprised that that they haven't done it since. But at making off like a bandit, walking out WWE champion, pulling off the heist of the century, and commentary puts it over as well. They put over how brilliant it is, which it absolutely is. Like definitely in a kayfabe sense, it's absolutely brilliant. And like the match, so technically, this does end up being a triple threat match, but I still kind of treat it like the singles match. The singles match up to that point was pretty solid. Like, hey, Roman and Brock really going at it, and then Seth slithering in the back door, cashing in, and the cherry on top, the fact that he pinned Roman, and the fact that not only did he take the WWE title from under both Roman and Brock's noses, but to really stick into Roman. This is after Seth had broke up the Shield. This is after that betrayal. This is when Roman and Seth were kind of feuding and well, having at least some tension. They kind of cooled off their feud a little bit, but this was just reignited again. But Seth essentially stealing Roman's moments right from under his nose and essentially just twisting the dagger in Roman Reigns' WrestleMania dreams. And we already had the twist of Brock re-signing, so now the match truly could go either way. And then another twist on top of that. And apparently this was a moment that's at the rumor has it, and I think it was confirmed if I'm not mistaken, but this is a moment that apparently Seth Rollins didn't know was even going to happen until about say 90 minutes before the main event. And on one hand, I guess I get it, like like add that last minute twist. And especially, I guess, and this is really just a theory on my part, so that's maybe the dirt sheets wouldn't get to it and pretty much spoil it, because as dirt sheets, they're supposed to get the scoop, and they often times can and spoil stuff. But Seth Rollins finding out 90 minutes, and you know who else found out even later than that? Roman's family, who was in attendance. I forget who exactly of Roman's family was in attendance for the match, but yeah, when Seth cashed in, they were under the impression that Roman was going to win. So I'm guessing if they decide not to let Seth cash in, and then Roman was just going to win outright and beat Brock, which definitely, sadly, at this time would have went over like a lead balloon, but yeah, when that happened, they were not happy with the result. They were under the impression one thing, and it turned out to be another. They were pretty upset about that. But that Seth does indeed make off like a bandit. It's really cool. It's one of the most memorable WrestleMania moments. It's one of the most memorable cash-in moments of all time. Some have gone as far as to say this is probably the best Money in the Bank cash-in, which honestly I'm kind of inclined to agree. Like, hey, it was something. And either like when people think of memorable Money in the Bank cash-ins, it's usually either this or like Edge's cash-in, and after he won, the first Money in the Bank and everything. So but if people did say this is the best cash in, I don't think you probably wouldn't get an argument from me, because as this definitely was brilliant. It puts over the craftiness of Seth in a major way, and Seth would go on to hold the WWE Championship for almost the rest of the year here. And was it Roman who took the WWE Championship off of him? Was it Brock Lesnar who took the WWE Championship off him? Was it Dean Ambrose who took the WWE Championship off him? And well, the answer of who took the WWE Championship off of him was his own knee. Because of course, during a house show, Seth Rollins was competing. I forget who he's competing against. He tore his ACL, his MCL, and his meniscus, which is a very brutal injury. So he had to relinquish the WWE Championship. Apparently, he was supposed to, I guess, hold it all the way to WrestleMania 32, and then they would do the Shield Triple Threat at WrestleMania 32, but sadly, that didn't come to fruition, and so Seth unfortunately had to relinquish the WWE Championship. He would be back by. He would be back by Extreme Rules the next year, but yeah, so a very unfortunate ending, and it does play even more into the history of Seth Rollins. I mentioned this before, like back in my review of Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at the 2022 Royal Rumble event. If you haven't already, go check out that review. I mentioned, and I feel like this also plays into that story of Seth always being able to get one over on Roman, and always he's finding a way to outsmart Roman, and he definitely outsmarted Roman and definitely outdid himself here. If in terms of what I didn't quite like as much about the match, I think a little too try hard when it comes to getting the message across that Roman's supposed to be the next time comer, really taking it to the beast. Like the story of him taking it to the beast, I think is a story that they get across, but they kind of beat you over the head with it by having Roman and overcome so much adversity. And trying to fight back, pretty much trying to give him that underdog type style, pretty much akin to John Cena. And the thing is, it didn't really work. Like, it almost worked, but I feel like it didn't really work. And the other thing is that the cash-in is kind of a double-edged sword, because that's the main thing people talk about from this match. They don't necessarily, like, they talk about some of the other stuff, like the match leading up to it as well, but when it comes to the main talking points for this match, they definitely talk about the cash-in, and rightfully so. It's a very memorable WrestleMania moment. It's a very memorable cash-in moment, and I just spent like the last few minutes gushing about it, but it kind of does overshadow the rest of the match to an extent. But yeah, so Seth Rollins, WWE Champion, pulling off the heist of the century. Better luck next time, Roman, and better luck next time. Don't worry, Roman would win it a few months later by Survivor Series. He's just to get cashed in on by Sheamus. Man, Roman got cashed in on twice in the same year. Or what the hell, Roman? But then he would win it back later on in 2015 anyway. So it's not too bad for Roman. And or Brock necessarily. Us actual stipulates, Seth and Brock had kind of been feuding as well up to this point of it, including when Seth fought Brock and John Cena at the Rumble earlier that year, 2015, which I also reviewed on the channel, although I reviewed it a while ago, I believe last year, if I'm not mistaken, either last year or year before last. Either way, if you haven't already, go check out that review as well. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload videos, so you can see who drops, and let me know in the comments. Let me know, excuse me, in the comments below your thoughts on the match and my review of the match. Do you like the match? Do you like my review of the match? Let me know. And do you think this is the greatest Money in the Bank cash-in of all time? And something that kind of came to mind earlier, or I think this might be the angle they're going with Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest might do what Rollins did here and cash in at WrestleMania and make his match with Drew, make the match with Drew and Seth a triple threat at this year's WrestleMania. I could be way off, but it would explain why Damian has been holding on to it for so long and why they almost haven't really been doing anything with him when it comes to Money in the Bank. And hopefully they do something with him as soon as Money in the Bank, or else what was the point of winning it in the first place? But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.